Hi, I'm Joel Papadix and welcome to my studio. Here in the Northeast, the trees are beginning to sprout buds, and it won't be long before they are completely filled in with leaves. One of the last trees to be covered in foliage is the American sycamore, and at this time of year, the tree's white peeling bark really stands out and makes a terrific subject for watercolor. In this video, we're going to learn how to paint this majestic tree using some masking tape and Mr. Clean Magic Eraser. Yes, that's right, Mr. Clean Magic Eraser. But before you try this video, go to my website at watercolorpop.com and on the Paint Along with Pop page, download my notes and reference photo. You'll find the links in the description box below. Before you pick up your brush, I suggest you watch the whole video all the way through and then rewatch it, pausing as needed as you paint. Painting very light objects like the bark of a sycamore tree presents a unique challenge in watercolor. In oils, it's easy to paint in a light color object. You simply mix up some white paint and just paint it in, just like George Inness did in his oil painting, Early Autumn Montclair. I suppose you could do the same thing in watercolor using Chinese white or gouache, but then you're not painting in a pure method of watercolor. Ted Kautsky created his light colored tree near the middle of his watercolor weathered barn in a negative way. He carefully created the tree by painting the building behind it, which is a very difficult thing to do. In John Singer Sargent's Derelicts, he uses some wax to draw on the lighter tree branches and then paints the green foliage over the preserved areas. Similarly, you could use art masking fluid like I've done in previous videos. It's a great alternative, but it's not what I'm going to be doing today. Ogden Minton Pleisner used a lifting technique in Blue Boat on the St. Anne to paint the lighter branches in the forest beyond the fishermen. This method is similar to what we are going to do today. So let's begin. I always start my landscapes by wetting the entire sheet of paper. I paint the lightest area first, usually the sky. A clear sky has a progression from dark to light towards the horizon, and in this case, a color progression from cobalt blue to Winsor blue green shade. Mix a little ivory black and some Winsor violet for the dirt road and drop it into the wet paper. Since I'm right-handed, I work from left to right. I've mixed mostly cadmium lemon yellow with some French ultramarine blue for the sunlight colors of my tree. Notice how I manipulate the brush. Sometimes I hold the brush parallel to the paper and scrape it on its side. That produces a nice texture for the tree's edges. Not all the trees have leaves on them, so I mix a little permanent alizarin crimson in with the green for a slightly brownish color. I continue to wet blend for a subtle variation of color throughout my landscape. In the area of the sycamore, I scrape the brush on the side to create a sparsely foliated effect. I added a little red to the green. The maple tree on the right has an egg-shaped crown. I try to keep that in mind as I mass it in. Notice that I don't wait for one tree to dry before I do the next. I let them fuse together. I'll separate the trees with shadows later in the process. I've added some violet to the trees on the right. That'll make them recede into the distance. Flat planes are always lighter in value than upright planes, so mix a little more water into the grass color. Completely dry the paper for the next step. I mix more French ultramarine blue than cadmium lemon yellow for the tree's shadows. Again, create a natural looking shape for the tree's shadow by scraping the brush on the side and using the corner of the brush's hairs. Before the shadows completely dry, gently spritz the paper with a spray mister. The droplets of water create light areas within the shadow which look like leaf texture, but don't overdo it. On some of the shadows, take a brush loaded with clean water and before they dry, make a soft edge. The sunlight is coming in from the left, so put the soft edges on the left side of your shadow shapes. The cast shadow on the grass is a flat plane, so that'll be a little lighter than the upright planes of the trees. The part of the shadow that falls across the road should be slightly bluish in color. Now it's time to create the white colored branches of the sycamore tree. Take a piece of tracing paper and trace your drawing of the sycamore's branches. Now flip the tracing paper over and back trace the lines. Turn the paper back over again and rub down the lines onto a piece of tape. I'm using white drafting tape, but you could use any masking tape that has a light tack. Cut out the branches using a razor blade or an X-Acto knife. Transfer the tape to the painting. Make the trunk wider on the bottom and closer together as you go up. Remember, tree branches taper. Take a small piece of Mr. Clean Magic Eraser and dip it into some clean water. Squeeze out the excess. Then gently rub off the paint from your painting. Always move to a clean spot on the eraser, otherwise you'll reapply the paint that you just removed. Cut more branch shapes for other areas. Do as many branches as you feel are necessary. There's something soothing about this. I could easily kill an hour doing it. As you see, when you remove the tape, you'll have a nice white area that can be repainted with darker patches and shadows. Lift off the thicker trunk of the maple tree and repaint that area using some ivory black and cadmium scarlet red. Mix some Payne's gray for its shadow. Finally, mix ultramarine blue with some alizarin crimson red. Using a script liner brush, add the darker branches into the shadow areas of the tree. I hope you enjoyed this demo. To find out more about me and my art, visit my website at watercolorpop.com. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel to see new videos as they're released. You'll find the link below. And if you enjoyed this video and would like to leave me a tip, I'd greatly appreciate that, but no worries if you can't. On the Paint Along with Pop page on my website, click on the commerce button that says Tip Joel. Anyway, keep watercoloring and stay well. Till next time, bye-bye.